In terms of anomalies within the anime community, one anime seems to be the most divisive anime that's come out in most recent times, and that is an anime called Sakamoto Days. But the question is, what exactly did this anime do to become extremely divisive within the anime community? Well, it's an interesting story because for us to explain why this anime became what it is currently, we have to take a few steps back. Because at the starting point of this anime, which is the manga, it didn't necessarily go off to the best of starts. And what I mean by this is that initially the selling point of Sakamoto Days was that it's an anime in which an ex-assassin had just become a shopkeeper. Basically that sort of presentation of a story in which an individual who's really dangerous happens to be forced to live a normal life. And as such, a lot of people weren't really interested in Sakamoto Days, despite the fact that Shonen Jump was pushing this anime a lot. But then things changed because all of a sudden this anime that really wasn't that interesting had become one of the most interesting manga that you could find because it did a total 180. And what I mean by this is that Sakamoto Days had went from being this borderline slice of life anime to becoming one of the most darkest, intense action, basically John Wick-esque sort of manga that you can find. But why? Well, it's kind of weird, but this was what the manga was always trying to intend. Initially, Sakamoto is trying to live a normal life, but what happens is he keeps on getting bounties put on his head, and then eventually he decides that it's just better to become the hunter than be the hunted. And that's when the manga changes. But the thing is, it changed in such a drastic way that when you see all of these cool panels, a lot of people didn't even know that this was Sakamoto Days. They thought it was something else. And this is where the problem begins. As things started to develop within Sakamoto Days, it started to build a reputation. But the problem is, the panels that were filled with action became more highlighted than the entire story. And what I mean by this is that as people were starting to fall in love with the whole concept of Sakamoto Days just solely based on the panels, the anime was announced. And what happened is people were excited for what Sakamoto Days would be instead of, well, kind of what it is at the beginning. And what I mean by this is that a lot of individuals were basically hopping into Sakamoto Days with the expectation that it will be this John Wick-esque anime from the beginning. But they were sadly mistaken because the main reason why a lot of people weren't really into Sakamoto Days is one of the main reasons why a lot of people are calling the anime mid. It's an extremely slow start. And this has made this anime extremely divisive because you have a lot of people who have different views. You have the people who were patient enough to keep reading Sakamoto Days and then it switched up and then understand everything. And as such, they're more patient because they've went through the slow process to basically unraveling what the story becomes. Then you have the more faster people, which would include people like me, in which they were attracted by the gritty elements that it later becomes. Basically a bunch of elite assassins hunting each other because the panels are extremely gritty but beautiful. But the problem is when you switch on the anime, it does not look like what you wanted or expected. Even though recently with anime, a lot of people always jump to saying things are mid, the thing is with Sakamoto Days, the animation within itself and the anime justify the allegations. Because if you look at the current animation that it has right now, it won't be able to deliver what the panels have been able to deliver. And if they're animated well, they could be some of the best scenes in anime if done correctly. But the problem is the animation doesn't give you signs of that. And as such, you have two divisive fields who don't know necessarily what to say. Yes, some are saying it's mid, some people are saying be patient, but who should you really trust? Because yes, initially a lot of people were fooled by what the manga was, but how do you defy your own eyes? Because yes, you can see the panels and have an understanding that eventually the story becomes this beautiful mess. But when you're watching the animation just doesn't give you confidence in what it can become. And as such, I can understand when someone thinks that this anime is gonna be mid, because how long are you gonna keep watching a slice of life anime, but meantime you're hoping to watch a gritty John Wick sort of anime? These are two conflicting feelings. It feels like you're forced to watch filler. And as such, a lot of of people have decided that they're not even gonna wait for it to become something. And I think that the animation is really one of the most strongest reasons. Maybe people would be more tolerable if they saw that the animation studio or the animation itself was elite. Then you would understand that the reason why the animation looks this good but the story is kind of dicey is because eventually when that switch up comes in, it's gonna need awesome anime. But right now, the animation is just good, but it will never live up to the greatness that the manga has created. And as such, Sakamoto Days has become an extremely divisive anime. Every single week, people are let down. Some people basically have to constantly shut down fires of just wait, just wait. But the problem is with anime, people don't want to wait, because I think that right now in terms of shonen, everybody is in a rush to find the next big anime. That's why Jujutsu Kaisen is so highlighted, because of the fact that it's new and also it's something you can get behind and kind of follow within your life, which is what the big three were. But right now people don't want One Piece, they don't want Bleach, they don't want Naruto. This is not necessarily true, but I'm saying that people are looking for the next big thing, and Sakamoto Days has kind of been talked of as being the next big thing. But when you tune into an episode, it doesn't make sense. And this is now becoming a point of borderline extreme negativity, because it seems like whatever this anime does, it's not good enough. And the painful truth is, the manga set the tone. People are just following it. And this is the unfortunate thing about this, because with people being so eager to find something new, to get behind, some people just don't have the patience to wait long enough for Sakamoto Days to become what it could potentially be. I mean, that's part of the reason why a lot of people weren't really that into Sakamoto Days, despite it being heavily promoted by Shonen Jump. Because if it was like that from the beginning, a lot of people would have been into Sakamoto Days a long time ago. But it seems as though recently, Sakamoto Days is not necessarily able to deal with its most recent fame because of the awesomeness of the recent chapters and the panels. And this is extremely conflicting, because most of the time with anime, the manga is what can sell you on the anime, or vice versa. You can watch the anime, and then when the season is over, you go read the manga because it was that good. Usually the manga and the anime help each other, but with Sakamoto Days, it seems like the manga is not helping the anime. If you're part of the creative group, do you just switch up on the story and get to the extremely exciting part because people are becoming so negative? I'm not really sure, but it's pretty clear that Sakamoto Days is one of the most divisive anime that's out there right now, and both sides have justifiable reasons. It's really interesting, and as such, I kind of want to know what you think about it. Do you think that this anime is mid? Do you think that this anime is kind of being rushed by people? Do you think that this anime could potentially be something special, especially considering what it's shown us? Or do you think that Sakamoto Days will just end up being just another anime that had a good amount of potential, but could never really live up to the expectations it created for itself? You can let me know.